That sound you were hearing in last week's episode was Barkley sitting behind me snoring.
Okay, everybody quiet, please.
Much like our listeners.
It was just a little commentary on the show.
In 4, 3, 2...
The Awful Company presents a truly terrible podcast. Welcome to Nonsense episode number 5. I'm Jeff Parker.
And I'm CJ Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time we'll look at air freight, the last mile, the Doomsday Clock, air freight, the middle mile, the potential roadkill from a one-button economy, and finally, we'll revisit a few of our previous topics for updates. But first, our headlines. Smartphone sales are down.
I'm not surprised.
They sold 1.2 billion smartphones last year. That doesn't seem like down, doesn't it?
I mean, everybody already has one.
There's 8 billion of us, but apparently some
4 years seems about right.
Holding about 4 years?
Yeah.
Well, that was down. That was down quite a bit. It's the largest ever decline since 2013.
That's amazing.
In the final quarter of last year, because it's mostly a fourth quarter business, because that's when the new models come out, they sold a total of 300 million smartphones, which was an 18% year-over-year fall.
I mean, it's still a lot of smartphones.
It's a lot of smartphones. Are we just bored with the lack of new features, or are the new features not as important to us?
I think you've got this problem where they're becoming more durable.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's a problem.
Not durable in the sense of, like, it's not dying, but like durable in the sense of I don't really need the next thing. Like,
that is the issue, I think.
I go back, my iPhone 5 or 6 was great.
Yeah.
Was like a great phone. You didn't need the next one. Then you get the next one, and you're like, oh, okay. Well,
how did I ever live without this?
Yeah, how did I live without this?
Sure.
Which they've done a great job on. But even on like the 13, the biggest improvements were low light camera, better photography, which is awesome. But like, I don't know if a lot of people need that or benefit from it.
Apple still declined 15%, but they did better than the rest. They shipped 72 million iPhones in the fourth quarter.
It's a lot of phones.
You know what a tractor beam is?
I know what a tractor beam, like the concept of one.
Have you seen it like on Star Trek? Is that what you...
I'm not a Trekkie. I'm a Star Wars kid.
Star Wars. Did Star Wars have...
I don't think so.
Tractor beams?
No.
Well, it's a beam that grabs something and pulls it toward you.
Okay.
And scientists have created a working tractor beam. Now, we've had microscopic tractor beams before. This is a tractor beam where you can actually see with your naked eye the object being...
And move things?
Yeah, a little piece of graphene and glass, a little sliver
so like
together.
It can just feed me Cheetos? I can just sit in the chair?
That's coming.
Wall-E, I'm telling you.
It's going to be a good world. The
Wall-E
future
was
is
not
so
fiction.
bright.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to sit around, have ChatGPT tell me stories.
What I want to know is, why do they call it a tractor beam?
Yeah, I don't...
Because it pulls things, obviously, but why wouldn't they call it like a tow truck beam?
That makes more sense. Doesn't roll off the tongue.
No.
Nearly as well.
Amazon is begging employees not to leak corporate secrets on ChatGPT.
That sounds problematic.
Lawyer told workers that they'd already seen instances of text generated by ChatGPT that closely resemble internal company data. What secrets does Amazon have that the rest of us can't?
Probably a lot.
Tape goes on the outside of the box?
I don't know. What else what are they sitting on?
I don't have any idea.
I think I had no idea the tape does go on the outside of the box now that I think about it.
Well,
that's pretty
trade
good.
secret, big trade secret. Can something as simple as a cup of coffee with milk have an anti-inflammatory effect in humans?
I hope so, because if so, I should be half the size I am.
This is from the Department of Wishful Thinking.
Yeah.
But scientists in Copenhagen, University of Copenhagen, think that's true. They think that from a new study, they've seen that proteins and antioxidants combined doubles the anti-inflammatory properties in immune cells.
It's very convenient when the things they find line up with what I eat.
Isn't that great?
Like wine, red meat, barbecue,
Researchers
coffee.
hope to be able to study health effects on humans. I don't think they're going to have trouble finding subjects.
No, not at all.
I think they're going to get people
Most
to sign
of
up.
us.
Newly discovered asteroid makes one of the closest approaches to Earth. The small near-Earth asteroid, called 2023 BU, zipped over the southern tip of South America at 7:27 p.m. Eastern Time Thursday, about 3,500 kilometers above the Earth's surface.
We almost named our second kid that, 2023 BU.
And why BU? What does the BU
I'm
stand
sure it means
for?
something important. Some nerd's going
Because
to
the
write
2023 just sounds like the year.
You should use your powers of deduction for good.
Well,
how big was this rock?
It's about, they're guessing because they didn't go up and measure it.
They should have.
Yeah. 3.5 to 8.5 meters.
So that's like a mile in the metric system.
Yes, your conversion is perfect.
About a mile, spot on. Yeah. Okay. I do everything in freedom units. If you could please give me all this in freedom units. Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll give it to you in Kelvin.
That'd be even worse.
There are some 18,000 near-Earth objects, which are comets and asteroids mostly, that NASA tracks. They discover about 40 new ones every week.
One of those is going to give us a bad day.
Reducing total calories may be more effective for weight loss than intermittent fasting.
I mean, isn't this just duh?
Yeah.
Like, really?
This is from the Department of super obvious things. But there were a lot of people who believed that if they spaced out their meals in some magical way, They could continue eating as many calories and somehow they'd lose weight.
I mean, if
of
it
course,
helps
that
you
didn't
get
work.
less calories, that would work.
But
right?
that's not what people were doing.
Yeah, if every other day you go to Hometown Buffet and eat your face off, that's not really intermittent fasting. That's just you not getting banned from the Hometown Buffet.
They studied the records of 550 adults who were followed for 6 years, and the interval time from the first to the last meal was not associated with weight change. Altered speech may be the first sign that you have Parkinson's disease.
So how do you know that? How do you detect that?
Well, humans can't detect it that well.
Okay.
You want to detect it as early as possible. That matters. We can't cure Parkinson's, but we can, to some degree, control it. And so you want to find out as early as possible. This is going to shock you on this show that we're going to mention this. AI can detect it. And AI can detect it literally in seconds.
We're just becoming a really poor AI show, pretty
Exactly.
much. I'm having a hard time cleaning out this drain in my kitchen sink. AI. That's just the answer for everything. That's how I'm going to throw out stuff now.
This story almost sounds biblical, like the ocean's turning red.
Cats and dogs living together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A couple million people saw in San Diego the oceans as they turned pink.
That's not good.
It turns out it's fairly harmless. You see San Diego researchers injected non-toxic pink dye into the water.
Did they tell anybody? Have you seen Ghostbusters 2 with Vigo? Okay, pink slime in the subway. This is not good.
They're trying to study how fresh water from inland areas such as rivers and estuaries interact with the surf zone when it flows in the ocean. They're actually going to do it two more times. If you want to see it, we can go down.
I mean, I do want to see it, but I'd like to know
Yeah.
I'd like to have more clarity with what happens to the pink water.
7,600 fake nursing diplomas were sold in a scheme, the U.S. says. More than 24 people have been charged in connection with a scheme in which fake nursing diplomas were sold to buyers, who then used the credentials to obtain nursing licenses and jobs in the healthcare industry across the country.
I feel like I've been treated by at least one of these nurses.
It reminds me of the old joke where the doctor's running after the nurse and he said, "I said prick his boil."
Wow. Jeff will be here all week. Try the veal.
Okay, next you're going to take a look at air freight the last mile.
I'm going to do my best.
Hit the button.
Hit the button. I was thinking we would try something a little different on this episode
Yeah.
and explore two different yet related ideas across two segments.
Excellent. What you got?
This is about sort of the last mile of air freight delivery.
Okay.
Yeah, this is cool. You've alluded to this on one of our previous episodes.
Yeah.
In 2020, the FAA selected 10 different companies to participate in a certification program for drone delivery, right? Last mile drone delivery.
Right.
So this included a bunch of companies, Zipline, Wingcopter, Percepto, and of course, our good friends at Amazon.
Got to be.
This was pretty interesting. I looked briefly at the folks that participated, and you had all sorts of different drones, right? Anywhere from like 5 to 90 pounds. Some had a top max cruise speed of 70 knots, which is kind of insane.
Amateur drones can fly 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, right.
That's
Yeah,
your cap
yeah.
is 100 miles an hour.
So these were, intended to be autonomous. In most cases, there's a company called Percepto. These guys are interesting. They raised over $70 million to date. They just got approval recently for remote monitoring of power stations in Canada, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
But that wasn't what really intrigued me. I was intrigued by what Amazon was doing with these, what they're calling prime air drone delivery.
Yeah.
And they launched this.
They're currently doing it.
Yeah, they launched this late last year in two places, Lockford, California, and College Station, Texas. And they're using their MK-27 Mark II drone. It's pretty small. It's about 5.5 feet in diameter. It's a hexagon.
Okay.
Weighs about 80 pounds.
Wow.
Flies at 50 miles an hour. And it can fly up to about 12 kilometers round trip,
Okay.
give or take. So not huge, but good place to start.
You got to be close to a distribution center then to get
Totally.
your stuff.
It can take off vertically, and then it rotates into sort of like a forward position.
All drones take off vertically.
But then it rotates to a forward position and uses the edge of its hexagon as lift.
Yeah.
It's autonomous. It has static and dynamic object detection, so like vehicles, chimneys, trees, shit like that.
Well, hopefully it's not flying low enough to hit a vehicle.
Well, it flies pretty low. And then
How low to the ground do they come?
I want to say it's around 400 feet is the area that
They're
it
not going to hit
flies
a
in.
vehicle at 400 feet.
But it's got to drop package off.
Yeah.
It's got to get down low. So Amazon calls them, I love this term, independently safe is the term they use.
Yeah.
They're independently safe. So
There's collision detection of some sort.
yeah, but more than that, if it sees a heat signature below the drone, it won't drop the package.
So it won't drop on top of a dog.
That's the theory. I'm really curious what the name of that.
My dog would be right under that drone.
Well, exactly, which is why I want to know what the name of that routine is in their code. Like, is it C Wile E Coyote no drop, like Acme drop zone?
exactly what
right,
it is.
because that's really what it sounds like to me. There's only in the current trial, there's a limited set of packages. Of products you can get because the package has to be less than 5 pounds.
Has to drop 12 feet.
and then it drops it from 12 feet, which I didn't appreciate, which is kind of cool that it just
All packages delivered to my house
get dropped from at least 6
drop
feet.
6 feet.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Because they come over the fence. They come over the gate.
And they just heave them over.
And monitors and all sorts of things
They
survive
survive?
that just fine. Wine glasses from the Lakers don't survive
not
6
so much.
inches.
Yeah, well, they should probably put them in some kind of packaging. Why are the Lakers sending you glasses?
If you're a season ticket holder, they send you a little present for
Is it
every
glasses?
year. And it's wine glasses that say Lakers or
I
something
see.
on it.
I see.
It's just a box of broken glass.
that says Lakers on
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
It's
thanks.
nice. It's a nice
Thanks for
gift.
the shards. Okay, so check out the economics on this. This is
Yeah.
what I thought you would really appreciate. What do you think Amazon currently spends to deliver a package through their third-party carrier networks? They've got their own logistics,
Right.
And they've got their third-party logistics, the UPS, USPS.
Right.
So give me both numbers. What you think they're paying in a range-ish per package, third-party.
Third party, if you're
themselves.
buying delivery like that in bulk, and it's last mile delivery we're
Yeah.
worried about,
Yep.
$1, $2.
Okay. What do you think is their own? The cost of their own network?
Probably more.
So I was with you. I assumed it was sort of around the same. Apparently, according to some of their internal documents, they're spending like $4.50 to $5.50 for delivery through a third-party network,
Wow.
and about $3.50 in their own network. Right.
Wow.
So these Mark 27.
Obviously,
to-
for their own network, they've taken the most cost-effective deliveries.
Yeah. You'd presume.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty good about that. On their these new drones cost $146,000. They're not cheap.
You just use them a lot. You amortize
if
that.
you can, yes, exactly. You can lasso them. That would be great. What do you think their delivery cost is for 2022? Granted, I'm skewing this because it's small network, but what do you think their anticipated delivery cost is per package for this trial?
Well, it's got to be really high. It's
Yeah.
got to be $1,000 or something.
It's like $480.
Yeah.
So you
Sure.
can order $6 of sunscreen.
Because you're not amortizing the
Yes.
cost across 1 year.
They expect that to decrease by north of 85% by
I'm sure.
2025.
I'm
so they
sure.
think, a target of like $60-ish is where that ends up.
Will they be able to expand the range from 6 kilometers? I mean,
So their next gen drone, which is the Mark 30, is supposed to be like 25% less noisy. It's supposed to fly in light rain.
that's an issue with drones. No,
Yeah.
drones are loud.
and then it's supposed to have increased range as well. And they're thinking that's out next year, 2024. But it's still like
They're
all things
designing these
technology.
drones.
Yeah.
They're designing their own
Yeah, yeah.
drones. That's remarkable.
Yeah. They've gone through, I want to say like a dozen or more iterations
Okay.
of just screwing around all different shit. You should look at the link that is on the episode. There's a bunch of really bizarre looking drones they've tested out to get this to work, because it just flies over your house and poops out a package and then
Now,
goes on its way.
could it carry 3 or 4 packages?
I'm assuming that's where they want to get, so you can have
because that seems more efficient.
way more efficient. You would
Yeah.
think, yeah. Anyway, that's Prime Air. I think you've got the Doomsday Clock coming up next.
I am doing the Doomsday Clock.
Coming up, more happy segments, folks.
I'm a smartwatch guy. Do you wear a smartwatch?
I am. I'm wearing one right now.
I was at a party, and a friend of a friend was there, and he was showing off his watch, and it was a $100,000 old watch. It was literally, he was saying it was worth $100,000.
I think you overpaid.
And I said to him, so your watch tells time, huh?
Wow.
He didn't love that.
No, he did
Yeah.
not. He did not enjoy that.
In 1947, a group of atomic scientists, including Albert Einstein, who had worked on the Manhattan Project to develop the world's first nuclear weapons during World War II,
Yeah.
created a different kind of timepiece,
Yeah.
the Doomsday.
I know about this.
You do?
I do.
Is it something you follow?
Well, no. Does it have like a Twitter account? What do you mean?
It does have a website.
Does it post a lot?
It posts every year.
Really? Well, yeah. I know it posts
Every
year.
January they post.
Yeah. And we're just getting closer.
They meet twice a
Just
year.
split in seconds at
They
this
meet
point.
twice a year, and they post once a year.
How do you get on the committee to be on the Doomsday Clock?
You got to be like a Nobel laureate. It's
Probably not going to make that.
incredibly smart, thoughtful.
Do you
people.
think we can get on there from this show?
Let me just explain real quick for anyone who doesn't know.
Okay.
The Doomsday Clock is a clock that is symbolically showing how close the world is to ending, and midnight marks the theoretical point of annihilation. So threats could include political tensions, weapons, technology, climate change, pandemic, illness, anything like that.
Asteroids, AI.
Sure. It's a Chicago-based nonprofit organization called the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists that updates the time annually based on information regarding catastrophic risks to the planet and humanity.
Do they consider AI in that too?
Yeah, this year,
AI
this
could
year
move,
they did.
Did that move the clock forward?
I don't think AI moved the clock forward as much as Russia did.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Every January, a board of scientists and other experts in nuclear technology and climate science, including 13 Nobel laureates, discuss the world events and determine where to place the hands on the clock. More than 75 years ago, the clock started ticking at 7 minutes to midnight.
I'm assuming it's always gone down since then. Has it ever gone up?
Oh, yeah, it's gone up. At one point, it was at 17 minutes to midnight.
Huh.
In 1991, as the Cold War ended, the United States and Soviet Union signed the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. So it substantially reduced both countries' nuclear weapons arsenals. So 17 minutes is as far back as it's ever been.
Interesting.
Last week, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists moved the clock's hands to 90 seconds to midnight, the closest they've ever been. It's the first time they've moved the clock since 2020 when it was set at 100 seconds.
10%. Getting there.
10%.
I can do this math in my head.
Thank you.
Just did that right now on the fly, folks.
The setting reflects the world in which Russia's invasion of Ukraine has revived fears of nuclear war. Other factors include climate change, biological threats such as COVID-19, and risks associated with disinformation, which I thought was really interesting that they call that out.
How do you quantify that?
Well, the whole thing. How do you quantify most of this stuff? Rachel Bronson, the Bulletin's president, told a news conference in Washington, Russia's thinly veiled threats to use nuclear weapons remind the world that escalation of the conflict by accident, intention, or miscalculation is a terrible risk. The possibilities that the conflict could spin out of anyone's control remain high. So the Doomsday Clock is not perfect. The metaphorical clock entirely missed the Cuban Missile Crisis simply because it began and was resolved entirely between the scientists' meetings.
They couldn't. Yeah, they can only meet once a year.
So the probably the event that would have brought us closest to nuclear war, the clock entirely missed.
Yeah, it's a very low frequency update.
There's a lot of pop culture around it. There's been songs written about it, including Iron Maiden's 1984 song, 2 Minutes to Midnight.
Can they meet more often than once a year?
They meet twice a year, but they only update the clock once a year.
Are the hands really heavy?
Yes.
Is that the problem?
The Doomsday Clock has its detractors, too. Steven Pinker harshly criticized the Doomsday Clock as a political stunt. Alan Barash at Slate argues that putting humanity on a permanent blanket high alert isn't helpful when it comes to policy or science, and criticized the Bulletin for neither explaining nor attempting to quantify their methodology.
Yeah, I mean, look,
it's a metaphor.
I
it's just
understand
a
that.
metaphor.
But I kind of appreciate that. Like, if you just tell people that you're constantly at DEFCON 1, then DEFCON 1 loses all of its importance.
Well, obviously they don't. At one point, we pulled back to 17 minutes to midnight. What do you think? Is the Doomsday Clock useful or no?
I think it has value, for sure.
In a 24/7, 365 news cycle that we live in now, a once-a-year update's not enough?
I feel like a monthly or quarterly update would be reasonable. I feel like this is a VCR blinking 12. That's what I feel like this is.
It's blinking not quite 12, not quite 12.
No, it's blinking 12, and someone comes over and like, fuck, I'll set the time on it. And they do. And then by the time daylight savings times rolls around, you don't remember how to set it again, and it's wrong by an hour.
Also, it's an odd thing that this clock is constantly, it doesn't progress. It doesn't
move.
Yeah, it doesn't move forward like a clock.
Yeah,
it's like we're 2 minutes now, we're 17 minutes now, we're 4 minutes now, it's moving all over the place and just
I'm gonna write a strongly worded
clocks.
letter to the Nobel laureates.
I have the fix. I have the fix for the Doomsday timepiece. Yes.
Oh, listener, sit down. Here it comes.
I think this will solve the problem.
Okay, I'm ready.
Interchangeable bands.
Yes, that's exactly what it needs.
Yeah, I think that's all we need.
We need a new clock.
Sure.
Call Tim.
Yeah.
Have Tim get on this. We need different bands on the Doomsday Clock.
I think it's a big hit if you can get some interchangeable bands.
I think that's definitely what it's missing.
All right, next you're going to take a look at air freight, the middle mile. Hit the button.
When I say Zeppelin, what do you think of?
I think of dances in the 7th and 8th grade.
Stairway to Heaven?
Because Stairway to Heaven is 7+ minutes, and they would start it at 2 minutes before midnight when the dance was supposed to end at midnight, and they would let us go over by 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Because it was one long song.
One long song. That's pretty good. That's I figured Stairway to Heaven is where you go. Do you think of anything else when I say Zeppelin?
That's it. That's all I got.
That's it? It's the only thing you got?
Just nothing about balloons blowing up or anything. Just literally just the good song.
I think you'll appreciate this. Not what this segment is about. There were several USS Los Angeleses that were built.
What is that?
It was a dirigible airship. The second one was built for the U.S. as a war reparation in 1922.
What were we reparating?
I think the first ones that were built for us, they were scuttled. They were scuttled by the crew.
Okay.
So they had to rebuild them after World War I.
Why did we want these? What were we doing with them?
We were using them in the Navy. So just for perspective, this thing in 1922 was 200 meters long,
Yeah.
and 28 meters in diameter. It displaced 78,000 cubic meters. Now, what you're thinking about is the Hindenburg, which was LZ-129. That was in 1937.
Okay.
It, of course, burst into flames, crashing to the ground, killing 35 people. Not a very happy
But it
story.
made like 10 trips to
Back
and
and
from
forth.
Europe.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was pretty incredible.
Sorry, that airship was 25% longer and displaced 2.5 times as much air.
the Hindenburg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As the USS Los Angeles.
Okay.
So they're big.
Giant.
All
yeah.
right. Now,
But that doesn't seem like a lot of people it's carrying for something
No.
that large.
no. And this is where it gets interesting. This,
Okay.
this is what I've learned.
I don't mean to get ahead.
What do you think about bringing back airships for moving cargo around the planet? How does that sound?
Well, it seems like a very slow way to move cargo.
So I read an excellent piece from Eli Dorado on Substack.
Okay.
And he makes an amazing case for bringing airships back. And he focused on where they could be the most effective. And I think this is something you're going to find super interesting. 'Cause
Okay.
I certainly did. So imagine something that's cheaper than air freight, say roughly 75% cheaper than air freight, but much faster than sending it on a boat. So if you're thinking about boat, crossing over from Asia to the U.S., you're talking about several
Months.
weeks. Yeah, months
Yeah.
typically, but at least several weeks.
Several weeks, and then it's going to be in the harbor waiting to be unpacked for a month.
Airship, 3 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hindenburg around from Europe to
Hindenburg
U.S.
here was it was less than
how
that.
far? Was how long?
I don't know how many miles, but I want to say it was in the neighborhood of 70 hours.
Wow. Okay, I didn't.
It's a
know
couple
that.
days.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't move fast, but they don't stop moving,
and they're quiet.
right? Relatively
Which
quiet.
is lovely.
Yeah. So, so here's what Eli did. He looked at pre-COVID data, so 2019, sort of just get rid of all of the noise from 2020 and later, and looked at the cost to ship a metric ton 1 kilometer, right? So that's the unit they use here. It's a metric ton kilometer. And in the U.S., for a domestic ton kilometer, you're talking about 83 cents for air freight,
Okay.
11 cents for trucks.
Yeah.
So much less for trucks, and roughly 2 cents for water transportation.
What about rail?
Rail was in there. I didn't put
Rail's
it.
got to be super cheap.
It was between, if I remember correctly, it was between water and trucks.
Okay.
So internationally, though, this is about 50% cheaper. So you're talking about 40 cents for air freight and about 1 cent for water. That's sort of like the market, roughly speaking.
And not much rail across the ocean.
Not a lot of rail across the ocean. They haven't finished that
Sure.
yet. They're working on it. There's about 260 billion revenue ton kilometers that earned $106 billion in revenue in 2019, right? For
Okay.
air freight.
Sure.
Just air freight. But air freight represented less than, and this stat blew my mind, air freight represented less than 1% of the total tonnage for import-export, but 39% of the value of import-export.
Oh, wow.
So basically all the expensive shit gets flown.
Right.
Right.
Because you go on it here quick.
Yeah, you want it here quick. It's
Probably
your
the expensive
MacBook Pro, your phone.
Right. It's chips mostly.
Yep.
I mean, that's got to be the most valuable thing we fly.
Okay, so he digs into this a little deeper, and just containerized maritime trade, so just shit that's in containers, right,
Yeah,
going
yeah.
across the water, is 13 trillion ton kilometers per year.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot.
That's a lot, right? That is a lot of shit getting
Right.
shipped back and forth. So his argument is that if you could capture, just like top line numbers here, if you could capture half of the maritime container trade
Okay.
and do it at 25% of the cost of air freight, you're looking at about $650 billion in annual revenue, right? Which would
Yeah.
immediately make you the largest company by revenue in the world.
Sure.
If you could do that. Now, the question, of course, is how do you do this?
Right. That's a
Right.
lot. That's a lot of Zeppelins.
Well, yeah. Boeing has estimated that the entire global air freight market is about $106 billion.
Okay.
So you're now 6 times the current air freight market.
Yeah.
And just to kind of give you perspective for how
But
big
it's
this thing could
3x the time, right?
be. Compared to air freight?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
Or more.
arguably even a little more.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of things, you're going from weeks or months into single-digit days. That's where the opportunity is.
Weeks
right?
or months because
Not
if I'm-
offsetting air freight. You're offsetting the maritime
Right.
trade. Then you start getting into the actual airship design, and this is what's fascinating to me. This is really the bit that held my attention. Airships follow the square cube law, right? So the ratio between volume and surface area. And that means that, and this is exactly what Eli wrote, I'm just stealing it from him. He says, that means if your airship doesn't perform well, just double its size.
Sure.
Like that's literally what you do, right? Because the lift will go up by a factor of 8, drag goes up by a factor of 4, and the lift to drag ratio gets better.
Of course.
And if that doesn't work,
Make
double
it
it
bigger.
again.
Of
You
course.
just keep
of
making
course.
it bigger. And it's actually part of the problem with tackling this particular challenge is that you can't really make a scaled down model as a test. You
Yes.
kind of have to build The
At
whole
scale,
goddamn thing.
right.
So his math on this was, if you wanted to capture this much of the market, you would need, and he's assuming each airship would carry about 500 tons each.
Uh-huh.
How many airships do you think you would need to do this in the year if you want to capture half of that maritime market? Just guesstimate orders of magnitude. 500 tons each.
7.
Slightly more. If this was Price is Right, we'd be doing good because you'd be under
I'm
and
under.
not over. Yep, you're under. 25,000 airships.
Wow.
So now just think about this for a second. The gross weight of this thing would be over 1,000 tons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which would be 64% greater than the AN-225. Do you know this plane?
No.
The Antonov AN-225?
No.
Unfortunately, it was destroyed when Russia invaded Ukraine earlier in 2022. But it's this giant monster. There's only one of one.
Uh-huh.
And some spare parts they would use for flying around giant things.
Yeah.
This thing would be much bigger than that, right? So proportionally, you'd be 390 meters long and about 80 meters in diameter, displacing over 1 million cubic meters of gas, right?
That's
of air.
incredible.
It would be incredible. So this
How,
would be,
how are you going to get that much helium?
so you'd be 50. We're going to get to that. You'd be 58% longer than the Hindenburg, and you'd have about 5.5 times the lifting gas volume
Right.
of the fucking
Right.
Hindenburg, right? So this is not a small dirigible. This thing is giant.
Right.
And I also appreciated that one of the engineers he had that sort of just worked on this rough math cheerfully noted that the fuselage of an Airbus A380, which is the world's largest passenger aircraft,
Right.
would not be out of place as, quote, a gondola on this thing.
Nice.
Like, you could literally
Sure.
use, it's only 73 meters long.
Sure.
You could put an A380 on the bottom to hold shit. That's how big this thing would be. So in order to make this work, and this is just super interesting to me, if you look at helium, you've
Yeah.
got a problem.
I do.
So you got a couple problems with helium. So 25,000 airships would require about 26 billion cubic meters of helium.
Okay.
Our estimated global reserves of helium are around 40 billion, and we only produce about 160 million cubic meters per year.
Well, currently, wait till we start using it for freight.
So, the problem is it's also super expensive.
Yeah.
So
To make.
hydrogen, just hear me out.
Sure.
Hydrogen can be produced for about 1.5% of the cost of helium.
Oh, I'm sure that's
Super
true.
cheap,
Yeah.
right? So his argument is,
But a
well,
modest little bit of static electricity, and you have a Hindenburg.
yeah, and this was the point that Eli made that I thought was really, really awesome. He said, well, look, early, air travel, we had a lot of accidents.
Yeah.
We made it better. Now air travel is one of the safest ways to travel. We can do the same thing with airships. Like,
Yeah.
there's a way to make it
There's a way to discharge all that
that
static
you can make this.
electricity.
You can make this work. And I think the problem with the Hindenburg, I'm not certain about this, but I think it was actually leaking. It wasn't just static. It was that one of the bladders was leaking.
Had ripped, yeah.
Yeah, and inside because it was like a semi-rigid frame, and it was leaking, and then that's what ultimately ignited. But presumably there's a path through that. You would need to get across that, because if you can't, I don't think you make this work with helium.
Right.
You would need something like, I believe the number was $8 million worth of helium to fill one of these things, as opposed to a
But
couple
that's going to
$100,000 with the
offset your
hydrogen.
that's going to offset your cost savings.
Yeah, just a little. But you've got other big challenges, right? You have to load and unload this thing, and this is your helium balloon, or sorry, your hot air balloon analogy.
Yeah.
So you've got this thing that's full of 1.1 million cubic meters of gas. What happens when you take some of that 500 tons of cargo out?
It goes up.
It wants to go up.
Sure.
So this
But
is
you,
actually
what
a
you do
problem.
is you float it over your house about 12 feet high and then drop the goods right on the lawn.
and then watch it shoot up into space.
Sure. Just have that Wile E. Coyote thing turned on so you don't squish my dog.
Don't squish the dog. No, leave Barkley. He's got to snore his way through it. So it's some pretty interesting challenges that he brought up, like how you're going to load and unload this thing, like adding water ballast, taking water ballast off, removing gas.
Well, in the case of things like the Hindenburg, they actually had, that was part of the problem.
Yeah, they tied it down.
If memory serves, they had ropes.
Yep.
And the ropes actually caused the discharge on the
On the skin,
outside.
yeah.
And now you have a charged inside, and you
Yeah.
had static electricity.
But
that
you
might have-
weren't unloading nearly as much weight
No, of course.
on this thing. He also makes the argument to make these things autonomous because, first of all, why not?
Because everything's going autonomous.
And why have room for the crew and all this? Just make it
Right.
autonomous. It's moving, relatively speaking, pretty slow. And he brought up a cool point of, like, imagine what it would look like if you're like out, whatever, at Santa Monica Beach, and you see this 400-meter long airship.
Well, you'd see a lot of them.
You'd see a lot of them,
Yeah.
25,000 of them. You'd see a lot of them coming in. There are some other challenges, like because you're building this thing to fly at a relatively low elevation.
Yeah.
You start having problems with like mountains. So
Tell me relatively low. What does that mean?
5,000-ish feet.
Okay.
Like you're probably in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So you start looking at mountain ranges that are greater than that, and you don't want to have to go over them.
Right.
That becomes a challenge. But that's fine. If you look at the large trade routes, there's not a lot of mountains between here and Asia.
Oceans.
Yeah, oceans, pretty flat.
Which is all pretty close to sea level.
Pretty close to sea. That's actually you get water that stacks on top of mountains that are under. Like you get like hundreds of feet of elevation change in the ocean. Did you
That's
know that?
cool. No, well, yeah. I know you get some just because of the Earth is not actually a sphere.
It's not a sphere; it's flat.
Right. Well, no, it's
You heard that here.
it's a fattened out sphere.
My co-host thinks the Earth is flat, folks. I'm completely fucked. But I just thought this was really cool, like the idea of bringing back airships.
Dirigibles, sure.
And he does bring up some realistic points that in order to get this working in the U.S., you'd have to get the FAA across this.
Of course.
And typically, any sort of new classification, he estimated takes billions of dollars, like $1 billion to get something new certified to the FAA. He also made a very nice little footnote.
It just doesn't when you follow the SBF.
$1 billion is easy.
It just doesn't sound like that much money.
Sam could write a check for us.
Sam could write a check.
Totally. Well, could have. Need to get that money in August.
Sure.
From him and Tom before it all went tits up. But I love that he made this point. He said technically the FAA says they only have authority over blimps, which are like skin fabric and not rigid body craft. But then he said, well, the reason they probably don't is because no one's tried to certify one in 80 years.
Right.
No one's tried
it hasn't come up a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how the ocean, all those seagoing maritime delivery
Boats?
vessels get boarded by pirates from time to time.
Yeah.
And get their. I want to see that in the air because I think pirates in the air would be way
Impossible
more fun.
18.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise jumping
I
into
think
a
that's
dirigible.
way more interesting.
Yeah, what do you like? You put like autonomous sentry guns on them? What do you do? I don't know. That's a really good question.
Autonomous is different though because you can go hold the pilot hostage. There's no pilot. He's not changing course.
It's like the inflatable guy in the airplane. Just
right. Exactly.
Just, in the front, just smiling.
First of all, I think that's a really fun idea, and I can't wait to see the skies darkened with dirigibles delivering nonsense
and ads.
Yes.
Don't forget ads.
Ads
Amazon's
on the
going to put
side.
a giant ad on the side. Yep.
Hit the button.
It says Prime Freight.
When the programmers at Amazon say they're 10 times more productive using AI, does that mean Amazon can fire 90% of them without consequence?
First of all, they're not all the same.
Yeah.
Not like it's just a big pit of programmers.
It's just a pit of programmers, and
I
they're
think
all
that's how it
working on the
works.
exact same things.
It's all hello world. How many different ways can you say hello?
One giant hello Amazon.
Just Buenas tardes. You're like, all right, you just got the Spanish version down.
It's hello world, and it's how not to set the package on the dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
The two things they do.
Get the Wile E. Coyote script working.
When we apply AI and automation to tasks, what happens to the world economically? Do we end up with just a handful of families who have all the money and the rest of us have nothing because all the work is being done for us? Where does this go?
Well, I don't know where it goes, but it sure does seem like a bit of history can tell us a little bit about this. Like you've got let's just call it the AI revolution or whatever smarter people than me are calling it. It feels a lot similar to the technology revolution we've seen over the past 50 years.
Yes.
Where robots can weld cars way better than humans can.
Faster, better welds, the whole thing, sure.
100% reliable every time. Like you said, faster, cheaper, yada, yada, yada. It seems like AI will be that times 1 or 2 or maybe 3 orders of magnitude more on things.
Sure.
Which is, I would generally think, a good thing.
A
right?
great thing.
Why
sure.
not have, if you can do it faster and better, why not? But then
But you need somebody to program the AI. I mean, you need somebody to program the automation to do this specific task. With AI, you won't even need that programmer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Theoretically.
The AI will do it for us. Yeah. But I guess the heart of your question is what do the people that are being displaced by that
Right.
do?
What happens with all that economic
I
displacement?
mean, what I think is kind of fascinating.
Take this to the ultimate extreme. We have X amount of productivity in the world, right? Mm-hmm. We generate so many goods and services.
Yep.
What if all that can be replicated by pushing one button?
Yeah, but we will always do more, right? There's always room for more for us to do.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that we'll just become more efficient at it for
Yes.
sure. I think
That is all this is productivity. The amount of productivity changes.
Yes.
Obviously, if you have 25% productivity jump in the course of a year, you have an enormous amount of displacement.
That's what I think is really fascinating. Is it's the rate. So you look at when we went from farming to the sort of the industrial age. Like that happened over a generation or two. So you had
It's
a little more
slower
time
than
to
that.
adapt.
I actually have numbers.
You do.
In 1900, it took 84% of us to work on the farm to feed us. Right.
Wow.
By the time we
okay.
got to 2000, that number was less than 6%.
I was going to say, like 5% of the population feeding.
And so,
By the way, the population's probably 5x.
So what happened to all those people who were displaced? You could ask yourself, looking back at the time, you might have gone, well, if we have this much more efficiency, what are we going to do with all these extra people?
Airplanes.
And the answer to that is we always figure out something to do with the extra people.
Yeah.
No one saw the revolution coming of transportation, of the automobile industry and all the people who would be required to make all that transportation, just as no one ever saw what was going to happen, this thing called websites. We were going to need a whole lot of people to start making websites. That probably goes away with AI, but we don't know what comes after that.
Yeah. No, this is the futurist problem, right?
A very small number of people will guess correctly.
Yeah.
And they will become the Bill Gateses of the next generation.
Yeah, Ray Kurzweil and his two good friends. What I'm fascinated by, though, still, I don't think I'm making this point well, is you've got this, the generations are getting longer, but you still have, if you went to school for a thing, because you don't have to plow the fields anymore.
Right.
So you went to school for a thing, for a trade, you got the trade, you did your apprenticeship, you worked that trade for 20, 30 years.
Sure.
That's
That's not the case
days
now.
are long gone.
Right.
Even in technology, there's no technology I can think of.
Right. The skill I want to teach my son the most is how to teach himself to
how
learn.
to learn things.
Right.
Exactly.
How to learn things fast.
You have to learn how to learn things quickly, right?
When I was teaching him to code, I had this when it was very, very first starting out, I had this decision to make. Was I going to
tabs or spaces?
Yes.
What did you choose?
Was I going to rehearse tabs? Was I going to rehearse my coding in my mind so I didn't have to look anything up and I'd look like a genius?
No.
Or was I going to fumper around and go, oh, I have to Google that and remember how that is done or whatever. And I decided the most valuable thing I could do for him was have him watch me go find the answer.
The process, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, coding now is basically just Stack Overflow curation.
100%.
Just go find the 6 posts that do what you want.
Yeah.
Stick them together. Here's the thing.
Also from, NPM, I can pull down code that's been debugged 9,000 times that works great.
Yeah, well, hopefully. And if not, somebody will fix it, right? That's
the
hope.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I guess to get back to your question, I feel like that's the speed at which stuff's going to change and that we have to adapt is just going to continue to increase. You've got folks that are coming out saying, I want to be the best iOS developer in the world. And it's you can't.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That's going to change.
Yeah.
You can't just focus on, I'm going to be the best Swift guy on the planet. And then in 5 years' time, you're like, oh, that's not a thing anymore. To me, that's sort of the more interesting part of this is solve that problem. So retrain faster, learn faster, so that you can be in front of whatever the problem of tomorrow is, which OpenAI does faster than all of us, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Do you think it listens to our show?
Yes.
We should ask it.
Anyway, with all the displacement we've had, just think about the displacement we've had just in automation. So much has happened in the last 20 years in automation, which is really incredible. Right now, we have 3.5% unemployment, which is insanely low. It's a half century low for unemployment. So obviously we find things for people to do. That's my point. I don't think, with 10.5 million job openings currently, I don't think we're looking, let's dream up thinking something for all these idle people to do.
Yeah, much like software and hardware, you make the chips faster, the software just consumes more of the hardware.
Right. We'll figure out something to do with those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
They, in the turn of the century, they were saying when automation comes along, when more industrialization comes along, what will we do? Well, I'll have more time for vacationing. Well, no, that actually proved to be much less true.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite, actually.
Exactly the opposite happened. We got busier.
So how do you best encourage folks to embrace that or retrain? And not be a iOS programmer for life or a coal miner.
Learn to learn.
Learn to learn, right?
That's it.
Learn to learn.
That's your next major. I mean, if you want to be a useful major in college,
masterclass in learning.
Learn to learn.
Yeah. And not to beat this horse even further, but even that's changing. The way that you learn is changing.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Talking about now people that are I'd read some tweet recently about a guy who said he doesn't even go to Stack Overflow anymore. He just goes to ChatGPT for the answer.
Okay, next we're going to revisit and update some stories and themes from the past. Now hit the button.
We're going to keep talking, folks. So we've talked about a lot of stuff on our inaugural 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And I think there's some cool things to just bring back up that tie some of these things together.
Sure.
Maybe loosely, in a loose bow. One of my favorites that I found this week.
Yes.
There's do you know the concept of explain it like I'm 5? ELI 5. You ever heard this? It's a big Reddit
I get
thing.
the idea.
Yeah. So these guys put together a really cool caching ChatGPT implementation of explain it like I'm 5 for all the things. So you just go to it and you just type in any
It's
topic
like
that you want.
Wikipedia, but except for explain it like
and
I'm
you get
5.
a paragraph, and it's great.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
It's really, really great. The links in the comments for this. It's really awesome. So, like for example, for this episode, I put in Doomsday Clock.
Yes.
And it said the Doomsday Clock is a symbol to help remind people about how close we are to potential catastrophe. It is a visual representation of how close the world is to the possibility of a major disaster, such as nuclear war, climate change, global pandemic. The clock is set at various times throughout the year, and closer it is to 12 o'clock, the closer we are to potential global disaster.
I don't understand why Steven Pinker can't understand that.
It's so...
It's
you should
just
forward it to
a
him.
metaphor.
It's so good. But you can just dump random things into this, and it gives you 2 or 3 lines to sort of get you the gist of it. It's really good.
That's amazing.
It's really amazing. And then, okay, so now going deeper down that rabbit hole, I think you already saw this. Realtors are using ChatGPT to write listings.
Right, because you don't have to write all the copy yourself.
Yeah, apparently 1/10 the time.
This is one of those things to me, like work from home, that everybody's so excited about work from home.
Yeah.
And the reality is, as soon as your company figures out that you don't need to come into the office to do your job, now they don't need to hire somebody in the United States. They can hire some some engineer or person in Bangladesh who will
I've been
work
there for 10 years. Wages have been completely globalized.
I think that's what happened. I think that's a result
good.
of that.
That's a good. In my
of course,
opinion,
that's a good thing. Of course, it's a good thing. You want everybody to be fully invested in this thing we call the globe.
Yep.
For realtors, I think what they're excited about, this thing generates copy. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Now your clients don't need you.
Yeah.
Because they can generate the same quality.
Where are you adding
without
value?
you.
I think that becomes the question. Where are you adding value? Where are you genuinely adding value? And I actually
are you adding 5% value, which is what in California realtors are charging, 5 or 6%, whatever it is. That's going to get harder and harder to justify.
Well, I also think you got a better chance of getting a more realistic listing from ChatGPT than a real agent. I think the ChatGPT I trust more with that sort of robot overlord than describing a 450 square foot apartment as cozy.
Right.
Or the my entire house is rotted wood studs, and they're like, it's a fixer upper.
Well,
I feel like
it doesn't have the euphemisms yet.
I'm certain it'll
They're
get
coming.
there. I'm assuming it'll get there. Also AI. This one was really cool. Coming into the courtroom, lawyers. This is fantastic.
This was an amazing story.
Did you see this in California?
Yes, because the bar associations were going ballistic.
Oh my God, they're so pissed off.
Yeah,
they're so pissed off.
By the way, would you rather have a real lawyer or would you rather have an AI lawyer? It's the difference between some lawyer who's done some nice research and studying and literally some lawyer who has access to all the research and learning.
Yeah. I think the problem with that, though, if I'm not so coy, is, okay, so you get a couple of those. You don't really need 2 because they should, in theory, have the same answer.
Right.
Right? So now you have 1, and now that becomes your legal system. You just ask the Oracle. You just ask the AI Oracle what's going to happen.
Because it knows all legal precedent.
Exactly.
Right.
Like that part is a little Orwellian scary to me. Just a touch. We're running out of things where the human has the advantage over the AI. This case in California was a guy like fighting a speeding ticket. And this company's plan was to have him wear smart glasses. Yeah. And it was going to record what was happening in the courtroom.
That was actually how they got out of it, because you're not allowed to record things.
Exactly. Not at all, which also seems mildly silly.
Right.
You can't record
a little
them.
arcane.
AI lawyers, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And then wanted to revisit, or at least I think you and I should chat a little bit more about something we touched on a while ago, the Taylor Swift ticket debacle.
The problem is, how do you sell 3.5 million tickets in one instance with your computer without melting down your computer, your database?
Let me give my standard sort of disclaimer here. I'm not a fan of Ticketmaster or Live Nation. I'm not a fan of it.
I wasn't thinking you were.
I'm not. However, this is really not an easy problem, because you have the positive case of folks that want to get tickets legitimately and want to, but then you have
bots, yes,
all these bots, everyone else who's trying to crash the front door. That's a hard problem to solve, right? And for the most part, I think the problem has been solved. it would not make sense for anyone, whether it's Ticketmaster or splitting up some entity, to build system to handle this kind of load at any given time.
Sure.
Right. So you need to have some scalability. Now, where I think they really screwed up.
Well, here's the problem, though. Taylor Swift wants to be able to announce she sold out her 3.5 million tickets in 6 seconds.
Exactly.
She wants to be able to have something to promote.
And I think where they
which is completely understandable.
I actually read and linked here Ticketmaster's sort of postmortem on this.
Yeah.
And they were definitely, what's the right word, complicit or endorsing that, hey, we can handle this. Yeah, no problem.
Which they should have never said.
Well, you look at the numbers, they made some assumptions on who was going to show up based on the past, and clearly Taylor Swift fans do not perform like the other fan base. Like they're much more...
They pre-registered the Taylor Swift fans, and they're used to like 40% of their pre-registered people actually showing up, and that's just not what happens.
And like 2x of that is what showed up. So there are plenty of great solutions to be able to do what we would call warm-up, like warm up a bunch of systems so that when you go, hey, we're going to drop this stuff at 9 a.m. on Thursday, you're ready to go at 8 a.m. You've got all this extra equipment that's been sort of soft allocated to that.
Bandwidth. And
that is something that I got to believe they're going to get in front of and solve. It's not a super fast solution, but they can get there within some short period of time. Then they've just got to stress test it. The simplest solution then would have been all the things we've talked about. Let's sell them off by venue, split up by time, blah, 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 blah. But there are
ways to shard the database in ways that
just timing. Just have people,
Oh, well, they don't want to do it in timing because the artist wants to say we sold out in 6 seconds.
Yep, all at once, which I totally get.
Yeah. Quickly, before you go, have you seen or read anything good this last week?
Yes, I have. The piece from Eli Dorado on Substack. If you're like an aviation dork or if you like thinking about new markets or startups, you should absolutely totally read it. I also love that the name of the piece is Cargo Airships Could Be Big.
That's awesome. I'm going to recommend a show called Shrinking on Apple TV. It's brought to you by the same people who made Ted Lasso. If you like that, you might
love
like this.
Ted Lasso.
Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. I saw the first 2 episodes. It is excellent.
That's awesome. I'll check it out.
That is the episode.
Thank you for joining us for All This Nonsense, a truly terrible podcast from The Awful Company. I'm CJ Little.
I'm Jeff Parker.
If you like this program, please follow, download, subscribe, and or like at Apple, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast from.
Podcastindex.org. Special thanks to our floor director, Nathan Carlson.
Thanks, Nathan. We'll be here every Wednesday morning for more nonsense. Please join us.